The Little Astronaut Who Found a Planet. Once upon a time, in a small town nestled beneath a sky full of twinkling stars, there lived a little boy named Oliver who dreamed of going to space. Every night, he would sit by his window, gazing up at the heavens, his heart pounding with excitement as he imagined soaring past the moon and touching the edges of the universe. Oliver loved reading stories about astronauts and faraway galaxies. He built rockets out of cardboard boxes and wore a shiny silver helmet made from an old mixing bowl. One especially starry evening, as Oliver closed his eyes and wished with all his might, something magical happened. A gentle breeze swept through his room, carrying the scent of adventure and wonder. When he opened his eyes, he found himself sitting in the cockpit of a real spaceship. The buttons glowed with rainbow colors, the controls shimmered with stardust, and the seat cushions were soft as clouds. Trembling with excitement, Oliver pressed a big green button labeled "Lift Off." The engines hummed and rumbled, and with a gentle whoosh, the spaceship soared out of his backyard, up through the clouds, and into the vast, sparkling sky. The Earth grew smaller and smaller until it looked like a beautiful blue marble floating in the darkness. Oliver was no longer just a boy with dreams. He was a real astronaut. As he traveled farther and farther from home, he saw wonders he had only read about in books. He zipped past the silver crescent of the moon, waved hello to astronauts on the International Space Station, and watched comets streak across the sky like shimmering ribbons. But Oliver's mission was special. He wasn't just here to explore. He wanted to find a planet of his own, a planet that no one had ever discovered before. He floated past swirling gas giants with rings that sparkled like diamonds. He drifted by tiny, icy worlds and fiery red planets that glowed like embers. He sailed through clouds of cosmic dust and danced with shooting stars. But none of the planets felt quite right. Some were too hot, some too cold, some too loud, and some too quiet. As he traveled deeper into space, Oliver's ship entered a mysterious patch of stardust that shimmered in every color of the rainbow. Suddenly, the navigation screen blinked and flashed. "New planet detected," it announced. Oliver's heart skipped a beat. He looked out the window and gasped. There, hidden behind a swirling purple nebula, was a tiny planet that glowed with a gentle golden light. It was smaller than Mars but bigger than Pluto, and it had rings made of sparkling crystals. Carefully, Oliver guided his ship down to the surface of the golden planet. The ground was soft and bouncy, like a giant trampoline, and the air smelled like sweet vanilla. As he stepped out in his spacesuit, the ground beneath his feet glowed warmly, as if the planet itself was welcoming him. Oliver decided to explore. He bounced across the hills, each step sending him higher and higher, as if he were on the moon. He discovered forests of blue-leafed trees that hummed gentle lullabies as the wind rustled through them. He found rivers of liquid silver that sparkled in the sunlight and fields of flowers that glowed in the dark. As he wandered deeper into the forest, Oliver heard a soft giggle. He turned around and saw a curious creature peeking out from behind a tree. It looked like a mix between a rabbit and a cat, with big friendly eyes and ears that twinkled like stars. "Hello," said Oliver a little nervously. "My name is Oliver. I come from a planet called Earth." The creature smiled and hopped closer. "Welcome, Oliver. My name is Luma. This is the planet Solaria. You're the first visitor we've ever had." Oliver beamed with delight. "It's beautiful here. I've never seen a place like this before." Luma nodded. "Solaria is a special planet. We have glowing trees, musical rocks, and skies that change color with every sunrise. Would you like to see more?" Oliver nodded eagerly, and together they set off on an adventure across Solaria. Luma showed him a mountain that played gentle melodies when the wind blew through its crystal caves. They visited a waterfall that poured out rainbow-colored water, and they danced in meadows where the grass tickled their toes and the flowers giggled with joy. Everywhere they went, they met new friends, tiny fireflies with lantern bellies, gentle giants who carried the clouds, and birds with feathers that shimmered like gold. But the most magical moment came when the sun began to set. The sky turned a deep, velvety blue, and stars appeared, twinkling brighter than Oliver had ever seen. Suddenly, the rings around Solaria began to glow. They sparkled and spun, casting beams of light across the sky. The trees, rivers, and flowers all began to glow too, filling the whole planet with a gentle golden radiance. Luma looked at Oliver and smiled. Every evening, Solaria lights up to remind us that even in the darkest night, there is always light and hope. Oliver felt a warm, happy feeling in his heart. He knew he had found a planet like no other, a place full of wonder, kindness, and friendship. He wanted to remember Solaria forever, so he took out his special astronaut notebook and drew pictures of everything he saw: the glowing trees, the singing mountains, the rainbow waterfalls, and most of all, his new friend, Luma. But soon, it was time for Oliver to return home. He hugged Luma and promised to visit again. Luma gave Oliver a small glowing pebble from Solaria's river. "Whenever you look at this," Luma said, "remember that you are always welcome here." Oliver climbed back into his spaceship, waved goodbye to his friends, and pressed the button to return home. As he soared through space, he watched Solaria get smaller and smaller, but the golden pebble glowed brightly in his hand, lighting up the dark cockpit. When Oliver finally landed back in his backyard, everything was just as he had left it. But he felt different. He felt braver, kinder, and more curious than ever before. He placed the glowing pebble on his windowsill, where it twinkled softly every night, reminding him of his incredible adventure. From that day on, Oliver told everyone about the planet he had discovered. He shared stories of Solaria's wonders and taught his friends to be curious, to look for magic in everyday life, and to welcome new friends with open hearts. And every time he looked up at the stars, Oliver smiled, knowing that somewhere out there, the golden planet of Solaria was waiting for him, full of light, laughter, and friendship, just a rocket ride away. Many years passed, but Oliver never forgot his adventure. He grew up to become a real astronaut, exploring new worlds and discovering wonders beyond his wildest dreams. But no matter where he went, he always carried the glowing pebble in his pocket, a tiny piece of Solaria's magic, reminding him that the universe is full of surprises and that the greatest discovery of all is the friendship and kindness we share with others. And so, whenever children look up at the night sky and dream of adventure, Oliver's story lives on, inspiring them to reach for the stars, believe in themselves, and remember that somewhere in the universe, there's always a place where they belong. In the small town where Oliver's journey began, the children still gather by their windows on starry nights, peering into the vastness above, their hearts full of hope and imagination. And if you listen very carefully, you might just hear the gentle hum of a spaceship engine, the laughter of a boy and his friend, and the song of a planet that glows with golden light, welcoming dreamers from every corner of the galaxy. And so, the story of the little astronaut who found a planet reminds us all. The universe is a big and beautiful place, filled with endless possibilities. With curiosity, kindness, and a little bit of courage, anyone can discover their own Solaria, a place where dreams come true and friends are waiting to be found.